Your Royal Highness, there'll be some poachers on your land. You've got to send some guards to fight them off.
Off with his head!
What? But I didn't do anything! I didn't do anything!
That is a great decision, Your Highness. You are totally legitimate. Yes, totally.
Please, sir, we need more grain. The people are starving.
Off with his head!
We need more money for the hospital.
Hospital. There.
Off with her head!
When we went to dinner last week, you left before the check came, and I picked it up, so...
And thus I saith, off with his head!
People don't give Barry Manilow enough credit.
Off with his head! Oh, yes, you should totally be the king. You're completely legitimate. No weird stuff with my brother at all.
Hey guys, I was thinking that I think we have like probably one of the best kings ever.
Oh, yeah, I would have to agree. He's great.
Pretty good king. Yeah, really, really good king. Like awesome. You know, I am super loyal.
Yeah, I know
Super
that
loyal to the king. And you know what? In order to give you like an honest commentary, I would say maybe there are one or two things that I would change, and that is it.
Really? Just one or two
Just,
things?
you know, maybe just even one.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
You're still loyal.
Oh, I'm loyal.
Yeah.
I'm way loyal.
Well, you know, I'm pretty loyal myself. You know,
Yeah.
I've actually won awards for my loyalty.
Right.
Do you remember that poem I wrote?
Yeah.
Ode to King Joffrey.
Great
He loved
poem.
it. I thought he liked it, and
Yeah,
it was
great.
all about loyalty and everything. But I think that maybe he does go a little bit overboard sometimes. But that's just maybe when he's kind of upset. That's it. Otherwise he's just.
Well, I love the king.
Oh, we all love the king.
Of course
Nobody is saying we don't like the king.
I really love the king.
Yeah. But if we're not pulling any punches,
Right.
sometimes it seems it seems a bit all unnecessary.
Just you mean the killing?
The killing.
Yeah, the kill. Well, of course, the killing.
Sometimes bathing in blood is.
It's a bit much.
But I mean, other than that,
He's great.
Other than
Great.
that, I love the king. You know, he's probably like the best economic king we've ever had.
He is.
Well, I've got dental now.
Right.
And schools. Don't forget schools.
And
Schools.
foreign policy wise, he's like one of the best.
We are in war.
Well,
Right.
come on,
But,
picky.
what else do we have to do if we're not in war?
That's
right?
true.
We're just sitting around. He's giving us jobs, is what he's. The Game of Thrones, the board game, 2nd edition, is based on the popular Song of Ice and Fire series written by George R.R. Martin, which was then turned into a softcore porn series by HBO. Now, in this game, the player takes on the role of one of the great houses of Westeros as they battle for control of the kingdom. Will you play as House Stark, the Lannisters, the Baratheons, the Martells, the Greyjoys, the Tyrells, Atreides, or the House Harkonnen? Wait, not those last two, though. That's something completely different.
The game board depicts the continent of Westeros. Each player will then collect their player's screen, house card, order tokens, units, and more. Your player's screen will tell you where to place important tokens and military units on the board.
Essentially, there are two ways to win a Game of Thrones the board game 2nd edition. First, if you are the first player to capture 7 castles and strongholds, the game ends immediately and you win. Second, if the game goes to the 10th game round and no one has won, the game ends and whoever has the most castles and strongholds wins the game.
We need more troops to protect the Riverlands, Your Highness. And some armor would be nice.
Off with his head.
As they say, winter is approaching.
That is what we say, right? Is that the thing we say? I don't know, I've killed them all.
The game plays out in 3 phases, the first of which is called the Westeros phase, which is actually completely ignored in the first round of the game, but becomes very important in the subsequent rounds. Now, in this phase, you'll do 3 things. First of all, you will move the round marker here. You will reveal the top card of each of the 3 Westeros decks, and then you advance the Wildling track.
The 3 Westeros cards set the tone for each round. For instance, during the course of the previous turn, you may have lumped a bunch of military units into the same space. But if the supply card comes up during the Westeros phase, you have to make sure that all of your armies are supplied. Players may have to make tough choices about which units to scrap and which to keep. For instance, if your supply token is on 3, you can field 4 armies, 1 army with 3 units in it, and 3 armies with 2 units in them. A single unit in a space never counts against supply.
The mustering card might come up, which allows you to build new units based upon how many strongholds and castles you possess. The units you can muster are footmen, knights, ships, and siege engines. The Clash of Kings card allows players to bid on the 3 influence tracks.
Now, this is one of the ways in which the game simulates the political intrigue of the books. Players bid on the tracks with power, the game's currency. The first influence track is the Iron Throne. Who is the King of Westeros? Will it be Ned Stark, Tyrion Lannister, Joffrey Baratheon, the Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV? Get a hold of yourself, man. Now, whoever holds the Iron Throne token gets to decide all of the ties in the game, except for ties in combat.
Whoever has the highest rank on the fiefdom track gets to decide ties in combat. Additionally, he gets the Valyrian Steel Blade token, which once per round grants him a +1 bonus in combat.
People who rank higher on the King's Court track have more abilities and special orders they can do during combat. The player with the highest rank also gains the Raven token, which allows him to swap out one of his order tokens after they have been revealed, or look at and reorder the top card of the Wildling deck.
Now, some of the Westeros cards will actually have you advance the Wilding track. Now, if this track gets to 12, the Wildlings attack the kingdom. You remember the North and the Cold and the Wall and Night's Watch and the Sandworms? Well, this track determines the Wildlings' attack strength, while this card here determines the events that unfold, whether you win or lose. Essentially, players have to bid their power, or how much help they're going to send the Night's Watch. If the players have bid enough, the attack is averted. If the Wildlings are successful in their attack, the various houses will all have negative effects, usually with the house that bid the least taking the worst of it.
I stand firm in the belief that Star Trek The Next Generation is better than the original series any day of the week.
Off with his head.
As they say, winter will soon be here. I feel like I'm still saying that wrong. I don't know, maybe it's too much wine.
After the Westeros phase comes the planning phase. Here, players assign their order tokens by playing them face down in the same spot with their units. Essentially, you can march your units to an adjacent space and attack if that space is occupied. You can place defense orders, holding a position against attack from a neighbor. A support allows you to give your unit's combat strength to a friendly adjacent army for its battle. The raid token allows you to remove an adjacent enemy token, and the consolidate power token will give you more power.
Now, once everyone has assigned their secret order token to his units, all players reveal their order tokens simultaneously. This leads to Phase 3, the action phase. During the action phase, players will resolve their order tokens. In turn order, players first resolve their raid tokens, then their march tokens, and this very often will lead to combat, the heart of a Game of Thrones the board game.
You can move any or all of your units from one space into another, and if that space has units from another house, you two are going to do the dirty dance of death. Each unit has a combat strength. Footmen have 1, knights have 2, ships have 1, and siege engines 4 if you're attacking with them, and offer no help if they're defending. First, you will add up all the combat strength points of your army, then add up all of the combat strength of your enemies. All things being equal, the army with the higher strength wins.
But nothing is ever equal in the battle-crazed world of Westeros, because every player who placed a support token next to his unit can actually lend that unit's combat power to either side in a battle, including the 2 belligerents. I'll show you what I mean. House Lannister attacks House Stark with a siege engine, a knight, and a footman. That's a total of 7 combat strength. House Stark is defending with a knight and a footman for a total of 4 combat strength. But in an adjacent area, House Greyjoy gave a support token to its 2 knights and decides to give House Stark his support, essentially lending him his 4 combat strength points in that battle for a total of 8. Now, by rights, House Stark should win the battle.
But it's still not that simple. Now, if House Lannister played a special march order that gave it a +1, now his combat strength is a total of 8. But if House Stark played a defense token, which automatically gives the defenders a +1, his combat strength is now 9.
Combat over? Nope. Now each belligerent selects and plays a house card. These cards represent characters from a Game of Thrones and contain even more combat strength that can be added to your armies. And in some cases, some special text that will provide a few surprises.
House cards also contain sword and fortification icons. Now, if you win a battle, your opponent loses a number of units equal to the amount of swords on your card. Conversely, if you lose a battle, fortifications protect your units from your enemy's swords. Any units that are not destroyed must retreat out of the contested space.
After marching orders have been resolved and the combat is over, players resolve their consolidate power tokens. Players get 1 power for each such order placed on the board, plus additional power for each crown icon on that same space.
I cannot wait for the next Michael Bay Transformers movie.
Off with his head!
How dare you even think... Wait, what? Oh, you were saying insects. I'm sorry. Mistake.
And that is the game.
Damn it, Shorty. That's only the barest overview of the game. The game is so much more. It's political intrigue, espionage, backstabbing.
Plans within plans. The spice must flow.
What's with you? This is not Doom, all right?
Oh, I'm sorry, Shawn. I just get so confused. Now, the Game of Thrones is the one with the White Walkers, right?
Right. There are White Walkers, all right? They're still on the other side of the wall. Right. But this is the game where none of the houses of Westeros can really trust one another because nobody really knows who the Cylon is.
How could I be so stupid?
Right. Just like Battlestar Galactica, the board game, a Game of Thrones, the board game, is as much about the personalities of the players as it is the pieces and cards on the board. It's as much a who can I trust type of game as Battlestar Galactica is, but in a totally different way.
In many ways, A Game of Thrones, the board game, is a riff on diplomacy, a game which dates back to the 1950s and was a favorite of John F. Kennedy and Henry Kissinger. Now, in diplomacy, that game took place in pre-World War I Europe, but employs many of the same dynamics. For instance, people would write down the secret orders for their units and then reveal them simultaneously.
As in A Game of Thrones, the board game is in diplomacy, no one player is strong enough to win by himself, so we'll have to make strategic alliances in order to capture those castles and strongholds. The problem is, as soon as he starts to take the lead in capturing the most castles and strongholds, the other players will turn against him. And friend 1 minute will be your deadliest enemy the next.
That moment when you've negotiated with another player to lend you support of his army so you can take a stronghold, and then he reveals a march token, it's amazing! All your hopes and aspirations fall fast to the Ned Stark's head. Spoiler alert. Spoiler, I was supposed to say spoiler alert before the Ned Stark's head decapitation part. There should have been a spoiler alert right there.
This backstabbing and betrayal will keep you on the edge of your seat for the entire game and keep you and your friends laughing throughout. There's a lot of other great features in the game as well. For instance, the Westeros deck offers a lot of variety by setting the tone for each round. You never know whether you're going to suffer a Wildling attack, or be able to muster new troops, or even have to check your armies for supply. The supply track is really cool too because it prevents your armies from getting too big and forces you to make alliances if you ever want to get anything done in this game.
Ordinarily, I am not a fan of deterministic combat. Too often it just boils down to a simple mathematical formula. Do I have the numbers to win? But I like chance. I like randomness in combat. I love it when in Axis and Allies I can hold off an entire horde of Soviet infantry with one single German panzer. After all, von Clausewitz said, war is the realm of chance. But I gotta tell you, I love the combat system in A Game of Thrones, the board game, because you don't control all the numbers. You constantly have to rely on other people and what numbers they can bring to your combat. It's a lot of fun because it's a game of personalities, and you never know if you're going to emerge triumphant or not.
There's something else that needs to be noted here, the theme. Now, if you like George R.R. Martin's books or that HBO TV show, then this game will be very familiar to you, from its geography to the characters on the battle cards to even that all-encompassing feeling of intrigue and betrayal. It's all here, folks. This is Game of Thrones in a box. The best part is, it's a great game in its own right, so even if you haven't read the books or seen that TV show, you are still going to love this game. Now, there's a lot going on here, and it can tend to run a little long. 4 to 6 hours is not uncommon, but still, the game is a whole lot of fun.
It's a nice day for a red wedding.
Russ, tell me how you think the game's going so far for the Baratheons.
So far, the Baratheons' position is quite strong, assuming a muster card doesn't come up. If a muster card doesn't come up like it hasn't done the rest of the game, I feel pretty confident that no one will kick my crap. However, if it does, I'm spread out, I'm a little vulnerable, but hopefully this turn will learn.
Even though you've screwed over the noble Lannisters.
I thought it was a good move. First time it was an accident, honestly, but that worked out much better than I had anticipated. So yeah, I'm pretty happy so far with House Baratheon's position.
So what do you think? How do you think the game is going so far?
Really good.
You think you're in a good, strong position?
I don't know anymore. You know, only because, you know, I thought I was surrounded by friends. And I learned that I'm not.
Yeah.
He went on a peace-spreading mission.
Yeah.
UNICEF. You went on a peace-spreading mission, invading the North, taking out House Stark, and then somebody moved against you, and suddenly it's like, what? I never had nobody.
Hodor.
So you've got like a piece on the board, 2 pieces on the board, right?
That's going awful for me. But worse, it's going more awful for Stan now.
It's going great. I'm just left to my own devices.
You're Tyrell down there. We've got a 5-player game. You're Tyrell, and no, you don't have to deal with anybody, right?
Just collect.
You're quietly becoming the most powerful player in the game.
Yeah.
I would like to offer a peace between our tribes.
The House Greyjoy and House Lannister?
Both the House Lannister and House Greyjoy. In the hopes that we can support each other in future endeavors, increase our longevity in the game, and bring peace.
I was totally going to screw you over, but your articulation of our shared goals and aims makes me think that I can trust you. Stan, you and I are on the same page, my friend. Do you know who I fear? That son of a bitch.
I gotta be honest here. If you take him, then the Lannister Greyjoy consortium is far too powerful. So I'm gonna side with the underdog.
Did you win?
Is that yours?
Captured the castle. You won.
Is that me?
Hey, you won.
Is that yours?
You
The turn's not over yet.
No. Was that Cap 7? It ends immediately. That's it. That's the game. That's the game.
Wait.
He just captured 7.
Wow.
Long live King Baratheon. This is an awesome game. Buy it.
Very good, very good. Darren, what do you think?
Next play session will be better.
You didn't do too well. House Stark didn't do too well, did you? Well, all right. But you're a good sport. What do you think there? How'd it play out? How do you feel about your performance as House Greyjoy?
And never underestimate the power of the cardboard sword.
We don't have money for proper cosmetics.
Off with her head.
The king is sure a jerk.
And the most disturbing part is, I'm a man.
Soldiers will find you, dragons will bite you, your friends there inviting you. In your house, take off your shoes when you play the Game of Thrones. Lannister family, fight you with lots of glee, whittle down your family tree, wisdom up ancestrally. Oh, in the Game of Thrones, when you play the Game of Thrones. It's a game about a game called the Game of Thrones. Here's a book about a book called the Game of Thrones, and it kills when you kill. Game of Thrones, don't get bored on this board called the Game of Thrones. Got your troops up on Twins Ridge, lots of drinks in the fridge. Wish the book it was a bridge instead of a bunch of Peter Dinklage. Hedge in the Game of Thrones, a game full of intrigue, lots of diplomacy, faking out Westeros, lots of boobs on your TV. In the Game of Thrones, I say, whoa, when you play the Game of Thrones. Well, it's a game about a game called the Game of Thrones. Here's a book about a book called the Game of Thrones. And it kills when you kill in the Game of Thrones. So a Game of Thrones board game is a fantastic game. We here at The Discriminating Gamer, we recommend that you buy it.
Buy it.
Buy it. Buy it.
And the best part is you don't have to be as rich as a Lannister to buy it. You see what I did there? It's a little joke. Seriously though, I will rip your heart out and eat it in front of you. Anywho, make sure you like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. The Discriminating Gamer.
And that is Season 1 of The Discriminating Gamer. Thank you so much for joining us. We have had a grand adventure, and a laugh or two along the way. No? Well, at any rate, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and take a break for a couple of months just to recharge our batteries. We do hope that we'll be able to bring some video content every week, but our reviews are going to have to kind of wait as we return to the drudgery of work and family. But at any rate, we want to know, what do you want to see from The Discriminating Gamer? Is there any kind of special formats you want to see? What games would you like us to review? If there's a game you want to see us review, leave a comment here on YouTube, on our Facebook page, or on our website, thediscriminatinggamer.com. We want to know. Also, if you want to support thediscriminatinggamer.com, we recommend you click on the Amazon link from our website and buy some games for yourself. That way you get a great game and we get a little kickback, and it's all legal. Thank you very much, and God bless. We'll see ya down the line.
Somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in. Ba-da-bum, bum, ba-da-bum, bum, ba-da-bum, bum, ba-da-bum, bum, ba-da-bum, 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 ba-da-bum.